Talk a little bit about debt and how debt works within your life. Hi, Dad's Wisdom here. So, you've been hearing by now, probably not just from me, but from many other people, how harmful debt can be in your life. And to a certain extreme, that is true. Too much debt can be harmful. But there are certain types of debt that can actually be helpful. Now, I know you're sitting there thinking, well, this is all very confusing to me. Is it good? Is it bad? I don't understand the difference. I'm going to explain to you a little bit about the different types of debt, why they're considered helpful, and other debt to avoid. So, really, the three types of debt that you may encounter just in your life's activities fall into categories of perhaps credit card debt, debts for like personal loans, like a car loan or any other type of personal loan you might have, and then a home mortgage, which is a large loan for your home, obviously. So let's start with a credit card debt and talk about that and how that really is considered to be very negative and uh, harmful to your financial future. And here's why. That debt is growing exponentially over time. The interest rates on credit card debt, it's extremely high. It's going to be at least in the teens, if not above 20%, or maybe even more. And if you have a large credit card balance, that's factoring in every single month and it begins to snowball out of control. So that's certainly bad debt. And it becomes your number one priority to try to pay down that debt and eliminate that debt as quickly as you can because that debt is so very expensive. Secondly, that debt is not tied to an asset like a home. An asset like a home is building in value, and we'll get there in just a minute. But just think about credit card debt. You've got to stamp it out as quickly as possible. It's like a fire that's burning out of control. Kill it before it kills you. Get rid of the credit card debt, number one. The second type of debt would be like a personal loan or an auto loan. That's a loan that, let's just say you buy a car, and it's probably necessary that you're going to need to have some kind of loan, at least in the very beginnings of purchasing an automobile. So it's a necessary debt that you have. But again, you're going to want to eliminate that as quickly as you can. So if you can pay extra on the loan and pay it down quickly, that's helpful. Do you have to pay it as quickly as perhaps the credit card debt? No, not necessarily. And you certainly want to have your other things in place like emergency fund and investments going on while you have this type of debt. But I've always wanted to pay any kind of personal loan, auto loan down as quickly as possible. The other reason that you may want to pay this down quickly is that you could have a loan that is actually larger than what the automobile is worth. Now, I hope you don't put yourself in this position, but it's actually very realistic. So let's imagine you go to an auto dealership and you purchase a car for $25,000. Okay, let's say it's either a new car or it's just almost new. It's still depreciating very, very quickly. Remember, depreciation means that it's losing its value over time. So if you took out a $25,000 loan to pay for that vehicle, and then over just the course of 6 months, it actually dropped $5,000 to $20,000, you actually owe more than that car is worth. Now, that's a problem, especially if you were to have an accident and total that car and it happened to be your fault, then you would not be covered under your insurance to even get the replacement value of the car to pay off the loan. That's why some people have to have gap insurance. You want to pay down those loans as quickly as possible. And that's why I advise buying a car that's actually 3 to 5 years old with low mileage, because a lot of the depreciation will have already happened. So that's a little bit about the auto loan and that type of debt. You do want to pay it down quickly, but it's not like the fire that's burning with your credit card debt. The third type of debt that you're going to deal with most often in your life is about your home, the mortgage. Now, I classify this as a different type of debt. This type of debt you're using as leverage to purchase an asset. Your home, besides living in it, is a long-term investment and asset for you. And when you take out that mortgage, you're using that money so that you can purchase this asset. Now, very few people, especially in the beginnings of their lives, can just go out and write a check for $250,000 for a home. That's a very unusual person. So you're going to need a mortgage. Now, having a mortgage on that home doesn't mean that the mortgage company or the bank owns the home. You own the home. As long as you pay that mortgage every month, it is absolutely yours. The only way it could be taken away from you is if you defaulted on the mortgage, you failed to pay it, and then they could legally take it away from you. Some people have a great amount of fear that they must pay off the mortgage as quickly as possible because somebody else actually owns the home. That's not true. You own the home. When you're taking out a mortgage, you have many options, and I have videos going into that, and I'm not going to go into that now. I want you to understand, though, that having a mortgage and trying to pay it off as quickly as possible when you can take more time, it may be to your advantage to take more time to pay it off, and let me explain. If you're not fully funding your retirement accounts and your other investments, and let's just say the emergency fund and things like that, you could eventually have paid so much into this home that all of your money is really tied up in the home and you haven't been able to take care of other things. So while it sounds like a really good idea to pay down this mortgage as quickly as possible, not at the expense of other things. And as a matter of fact, I'll tell you that I will probably always have a mortgage on this home until it's paid off. Here's my example as to why. I have a 15-year mortgage that's at 2.125%, and that's incredibly cheap money. I want the majority of my funds every single month going into savings, investment accounts, retirement accounts. I don't want to sink that money into my home because the cost of the money that I've borrowed is so very low, only at 2.125%. I will tell you that even mortgages at 5 and 6% is still a really good deal when you can take the same amount of money and put that into investments that could grow 20, 25, 30% in a year. So the people that tend to fall into the camp of saying you've got to pay off your home as quickly as possible and they throw all of their money into that, they may be missing out on important opportunity costs for other types of investments. What I think you need to think about is having a careful balance in all of this. It all depends on the scenario. But the mortgage is something that is helpful and beneficial to you as far as debt is concerned because it's leverage, and you can use that leverage to pay for your primary asset, which will likely be your home. So I hope that clears up just a little bit about the types of debt, the differences in the types of debt, and also why it may be beneficial to actually keep a mortgage rather than be in a rush to pay it off. Thanks again for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe and hit the notifications button.